Hello, and welcome to Keeper's Corner Podcast, where we're breaking down anything and everything Utica City FC related. With your hosts, as always, Matthew Sterling, Michelle Brooks, and Brandon Brooks. Let's go.
Hello, welcome to another edition of the Keeper's Corner Podcast. As always, Matt and Brandon are here. This time, we have a very special guest with us. Hailing from Santos in Sao Paulo, Brazil, he's the VP of Business Development for the Wisconsin Sports Group, owner of ShopFutsal.com, the co-owner of the Red June Cafe, and the head coach for the Iowa Raptors outdoor team in the UPSL. His time in indoor, he scored 198 goals and 174 assists over 301 career games in the MISL and MASL, along with winning 3 championships for the Milwaukee Wave. His 15 seasons saw him play for the San Diego Sockers, the Milwaukee Wave, the Detroit Ignition, the Philadelphia Kicks, the Chicago Mustangs, the Cedar Rapids Rampage, St. Louis Ambush, and briefly, our very own Utica City FC. Please welcome to the podcast, head coach Hewerton Moreira.
Thank you so much for having me here. That's a lot of titles and a lot of teams.
I was going to say, wow, that's a mouthful there, Matt. Holy cow.
I was tired just to hear about it.
It's definitely a pleasure to have you.
Balance all of that.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak about our team and our passion that is indoor soccer.
It's a pleasure to have you on. You're welcome anytime.
Yeah, so Matt, you... All right. Sorry, didn't mean to step on your toes.
With the season wrapping up, we're grateful you're able to come on, do a bit of a recap with us, and give some thoughts on your first season here as a head coach in Utica, beyond just the temporary player role that you had pretty much on road games only.
I came last year for a couple games. Tommy Tanner, Ryan Hall, they called me to come and help out and come out of retirement. The first couple calls didn't go that well because I did not want to play. I did not want to go back. Mm-hmm. You know, like I was a person that is always against people that retire, come back. And all of a sudden, I saw myself in that predicament that, of course, I love and I have passion for the sport, but I also fell in love on coaching, and I didn't want to come and play. But then after a few phone calls, I decided to come for a few games. Loved the team, loved the players, the organization, everything. It was really good. My only regret was that I didn't come to experience as a player the fan base of Utica City FC. I was able to only play somewhat healthy, right? Because my first goal when I played against Milwaukee Wave was not to die. The second goal was not to mess up too bad for the team. And the third goal was to not to get hurt. And after the first game against Milwaukee Wave, I played 2 more. And unfortunately, against Baltimore, I pulled my hamstring, but I, stayed in there and went to play my last game out of these 5 games that I came to play against St. Louis, which I went more for helping out because I knew the team so well. Mm-hmm. But my regret was that I didn't come to play, and experience the fan base. After the season, they contacted me and offered me to come and take a look in the organization, the office, the atmosphere, and everything, And I came to Utica and took, probably 45 minutes for me to come to a deal because it was a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're glad you feel that way about the team and the franchise as a whole.
Oh, yeah. Great people. Like I said, great players, great owners, office staff, workers, it feels like a big family. Like I said, it was 45 minutes and I was in.
Yeah, I know. Definitely.
Gotta love it when the decision's there.
Yeah. I know, one of the things that I think everybody that I've talked to that's ever come to visit Utica, whether it's, other teams, I've talked to people from like when Empire came, when, Baltimore's come up, any other team, when they come up here. I mean, that's the one thing they talk about is the fans. So it's unfortunate you didn't get to experience it last year, but I know you've had plenty of it this year. That place has been nuts this year.
Oh no, it's been amazing the way how the fans get behind the players is incredible. It's a great experience. You really I don't know how much they actually understand on a player's standpoint how important it is for the players, how much they actually push the players when the players are tired, late on a shift, they cannot run. Need to do an extra block, an extra tap, an extra shot, an extra run. The way how they support the players is amazing. They help out a lot. Absolutely.
No, it's like I said, it's been we've had some ups, we've had some downs this season, but overall it's just been, from a fan standpoint, it's been awesome. So, and part of that's due to some great talent on a team. Part of that's due to yourself as well. I mean, take credit where credit's due. I mean, definitely we're back in the playoffs. That's huge for us. We haven't been there in 4 years. So it's been a while, and it's glad to be, at least even if we're not technically there, we're on the cusp of it. And that's awesome. So.
No, we're technically there. We're finishing fourth, man. Nobody gonna take that away from us.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
We got in fourth. It's we were mentioned about Tom and I. We speak a lot. I have a great relationship with him. Like I said, at the moment that he called me, we played against each other when I was playing for Milwaukee, when I played for Chicago and other teams. I can't list it because we're going to be here for 15 minutes. But, we always talk and everything. But at the moment that I met him, we got along really well. Conversations are great about, soccer and life in general. We don't always agree on with indoor soccer and everything, but we respect each other's point of view and experience. But it's been great. And we were talking today that the point system, and by any means I'm complaining about the point system. I'm just saying that the point system, if it was just a regular soccer point system, and whoever wins gets 3 points, we would be in second place.
I hadn't really thought about that.
But yeah, I'm just trying to feel better about everything. That's it.
From a point standpoint, Utica's 13-11 overall record is the second best in the East. Unfortunately, some of those losses came in, more of those losses came in regulation than in overtime. So you weren't able to steal a point here and there, like Florida, for instance.
Yeah. I mean, overall, if you think about it, it's the majority of our losses came in the beginning of the season, which is a learning curve that we need to go through. It was a lot of changing in the way how I envisioned the players play and how they used to. So it's a learning curve that we need to go through, and sticking with was, in my point of view, was really good because we got better, we grew, and we picked up at the right moment going to the playoffs. So it's the losses. It happens. It's really rare in indoor soccer that you can go all the way to playoffs undefeated. And it's also really rare that a team finished without a win, and that's what happened as well. In our season, nobody expected that Dallas would win a game. I kind of knew and had a faith that they would win a game. So I think the losses made us strong. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think for a while there, all of us were. I think everyone across the league was hoping that Dallas would get a win, and I think everyone was kind of just afraid that they were going to be the ones that they won against.
I know.
No, it was a great first season. Like you said, there were a lot of losses early on. Something I pointed out to a few different fans online, because they're kind of overlooking Utica in the playoffs. Is since the midway point in the season, Utica is 9-2-1, with those 3 losses coming in Mexico, where you unfortunately weren't able to have Steph or Toby available, and then an overtime loss to Harrisburg without Gordy.
Yep.
Yeah, and Nate. A lot of lost talent on that trip.
Yep. Well, going to Mexico overall, like it's not easy, right? Especially when you go there to play 2 games, all the logistics and everything. It's tough. We weren't able to have Nate in there. Nate is a big part of my system. So is Toby and Stefan. So, those 3 guys not going, if you had a little bit of extra time to prepare for those losses, like going there, you can prepare and arrange the team in a different way. Because if you look to the first game, we were, I think, 3-3 in the first half, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, you were right there in it at halftime.
Right there in the halftime. And then we end up, not the third quarter wasn't particularly good. That's what separated the scoreboard so much.
Yeah.
But Mexico wasn't a good trip for us. We kind of had the mentality and knew that going there for a split actually would be good. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But Harrisburg was a game that we should have taken care of it. Without Gordy, without some players, because we had opportunities. We had a lot of opportunities, and we weren't able to be clinical on those opportunities, and that counts at the end. Sometimes you, in the middle of the game or after you win against a team so many times, you end up falling in a comfort zone. Then you think, can win this game anytime. And the indoor soccer is not like that. Pat Hill is a good coach. They have good players. And if you don't punish them when you have the opportunities, they will punish you. So that's how it is.
Yeah, there are no gimme games in this league, even if you're playing a Dallas or a Harrisburg, or St. Louis came and kicked some butt on our turf in a game that did not go the way any of the fans were hoping, but that's what happens.
That's right.
Brandon, were you up with the next question?
Yeah. Let's see. I guess which one do you want me to start with here? Because we kind of been jumping around.
Take one you like.
All right. So I guess actually, rather than using one of yours, I'm going to use one of mine. So one of the things that I was kind of curious about, and I think a lot of fans probably were, is we had a few games where we went down fairly quick. Usually it would end up being 2-0. And then timeout gets called. Something happens. You say something, and the next thing you know, we're coming roaring back. What do you like? I mean, because it had been a repeat thing, it was one of those things of, what do you say in that situation that just smacks some sense into the guys and says, "Hey, let's get out there, let's get to work."
Well, I'm very fortunate with the group that I have. They work extremely hard, and I can tell all the players that we have, from the players that have been playing, starting, the players that are not dressing so much, they're all hungry to win, all of them. So, timeouts, I only have a minute to speak. It's tough to address everything that you want to address in a minute. And by the time that all the players get there, my time shrunk to 45 seconds.
Yep.
So sometimes the players just need to go back to a neutral state of mind, just not get anxious about anything. You point out how the game's being played and what would help them to change the outcome of what they've been doing, and they just execute. Like I said, I'm very fortunate that the players, they're very coachable. I think that's the word. But it's a lot of props to them as well, because it's tough. It's tough sometimes. Like Baltimore, for instance, this last game we were 3-0, and halftime we were able to assess everything. We were able to address what was wrong, and sometimes I have a video session in the locker room and a halftime, and it helps the players that are visual about stuff. Mm-hmm. Even though you play the video for 3 to 4 minutes, they can start to understand what's going on the field, and they come out and they execute. So I don't think that is a magical, recipe. It's just trying to address what's wrong and give the solution.
Fair enough. No, it just felt like, it was kind of a, I don't want to say it was a reoccurring thing, but I mean, unfortunately we did have a few where we went down a couple and everybody gets pulled aside. And then the next thing we're putting it in fifth gear. I mean, it's, it's just, it's awesome to see, but it was just like, wow, what's going on here?
Yeah, it happened a couple times. I mean, especially halftime, we only have 15 minutes in halftime to talk to players. I try to have my last 4 minutes for players to walk back to the field and kind of like a real warm up. So you have 11 minutes to talk, but so you end up having about 10 minutes to talk. Sometimes you're not liking the way how the players are playing, and sometimes you get to the locker room and the first and second quarter didn't occur the way how you want, so you do have sometimes a minute or two to vent, and unfortunately, and I had some coaches like that vent for 14 minutes. Some coaches that try to get to slap us with words, try to shake us with words and all that stuff. Yep. And it never worked for me. I'm a self-motivated person. I don't need motivation speech. I don't need, guys to tell me what to do. I need them to tell me what they are seeing, what they envision in terms of what I can do to make things a little bit better, how I can avoid cup situations. If they give me those informations, maybe I can play better. So I try to be to the players the way how I liked how the coach used to be for me. So again, I'm fortunate. I'm very fortunate that for this group of men, it works. That's all.
That's fair enough. I mean, I know that, we've had the privilege of talking to a lot of the different, a lot of the guys, and, it definitely seems like, from a fan personal standpoint, I mean, it's definitely a good group. So, it's overall, it just seems like we've got a good team on our hands this year, and it's been exciting to watch you all, especially some of the newer ones, kind of develop over the season. I mean, we've had some great moments this year, which, unless you have another one, Matt, kind of leads me into another one, if you'd like, or you can ask it.
Just going to say, with the players being so coachable, I mean, we do know, I don't know how many other fans do, that Hewerton played alongside Gordy in Cedar Rapids and Taylor in Chicago, and he did get to coach Steph in 2021 in St. Louis. How does having those existing relationships change things or make them easier for you as a coach?
I think in different ways. Taylor, I never coached Taylor. I just played with Taylor in his rookie season. I helped Taylor with a couple tips as a target, because I was a target, he was a target, but he's a great player. He doesn't need me to teach him how to play, it's just tips. Like from an outdoor soccer player coming playing indoor. Now, Gordy, I played and coached. Steph, I just coached. What helped with them is that a lot of things that I do, it is new for those players.
Mhm.
It is, especially at the beginning of the season, they see it, they don't understand why we're doing. Why would you change what we've been doing and all that stuff? So there's a lot of question marks in there. Having players that played with me and for me and know what I've done and how those different things works help them to buy in. Because,
Okay.
words are cheap, like I can say, hey guys, do this, it's gonna work. And they're like, well, I gotta see first. So it was a good combination between, okay, I'm starting to see it. It's new. I'm starting to see it. I still have difficulties to do it. But now there is these 3 guys that come and Dylan as well. I coached Dylan as well.
Okay.
So Dylan
Okay.
Handel, I coached him in St. Louis. So then you have these 4 guys and like, no, guys, listen, I've been through it and it works. It's different, yes. But it works. If we stick together, everything will be fine. So for me, it was very crucial to have those players in the team for multiple reasons, but especially because 1, their talent. 2, they were familiar with what I normally do. So, yeah.
That's good to know. Hey, Brandon, you wanted one?
So, obviously, we've wrapped up the regular season, heading into the playoffs. What, if you have any, what are some of your favorite moments from this season? If you can think, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if there's any, are there any tongue tied? Are there any moments that really stick out to you from this past season that are really memorable?
Yeah, there's few actually. I think for the first one, to be completely honest, and that can be very, very cheesy to say, but it's for me, the first one was walking to Nexus Center and seeing where we practice, our locker room, my office, and the desire that the organization has to be successful and amount of tools that they give to us to be successful. That was like, wow, they're serious about that. Another one was Tim Goldman scored a goal, I think was against Harrisburg. That was quick passes between Christian, Bo, and Tim scored a header in a box. That was a pretty sweet goal. It was a beautiful goal. 40 goal against Mesquite in overtime, like in the arena. It was loud. Us playing against Harrisburg as well. That's one of the biggest for me. Was us playing against Harrisburg, and that was one song was being playing, and the entire crowd, after the song was stopped, they continued to sing, and I look around and I was like, wow, that's pretty sweet.
I know they've been playing Country Roads a lot.
Country Roads, that's what it was.
I love getting. I had to go out and find the remix that they used for that particular one in the arena because it kept sticking in my mind.
It was awesome. I actually like I said, I do video sessions and have time, but I don't use the Twitch. I have my GoPro on the top of the arena.
Oh,
so that's where that video.
Adam, the vice president, he brings the GoPro for me every half time. Like, he's so nice at doing that. He gave the GoPro to me and I put in there, blah blah blah. But when I watched the video, after the game, I normally watch from the Twitch, and I watch also from my camera because I can see one spot, I can see the entire field. It's better and easier for me to evaluate if we are doing well and determine things or not. Mm-hmm. So I heard how loud it was from my GoPro, and I was like, wow, that's unreal. And obviously, the winning goal against Baltimore, the fourth goal, dude, it was loud.
Oh yeah,
it was loud. It was loud, and everybody around is jumping and celebrating. The players are pumped. The end of the game was loud. Don't get me wrong, but the fourth goal was incredible, and there's a lot of great moments. There is some special ones at practice here and there. But obviously the game times are special.
I know one of them that. Not so much was a very memorable moment for me, but it was definitely one that sticks out in my memory. It wasn't even from any game or anything. It was actually from, I'm assuming, a practice. It was something that Timmy posted on the Hootery there with the goalies and the advice of always making sure to wear certain protective equipment because So that one sticks out because I remember seeing I believe it was you and Wilkin and then Coughlin and our I'm blanking our third keeper. I can't remember his name for the yes. So that one just stuck out for me, and everybody gets a good chuckle out of it, and it was just it was a pretty funny moment. But no, it's just. I don't know. It just seems like every season we always end up having these extremely memorable moments throughout the season that just are crazy. I mean, like you said, this past game, not even so much the end of the game, but the go ahead goal, the fourth goal there. Yeah, I thought the roof was going to come off that place. Oh, yeah. I mean, it was insane how loud it was. I think the last time I remember it being that loud in there was. I want to say our game against San Diego last year when, I mean, it was just, it was so close. And, the way I keep seeing it and the way I would love to see it is, us get our revenge game in the playoffs.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, speaking of revenge games, the last time Kansas City played Utica, the wheels kind of fell off for City. This was back in 2020, and Utica blew a 5-goal lead in the fourth quarter and then lost in overtime. So those of us that were there for that game are looking forward to this one for a chance of revenge. Never forgive, never forget. But with the Comets, Utica hasn't played them at all this year. So how does your preparation change going into this game versus a game like, you played Baltimore 6 times, you played Harrisburg 6 times, they're a foe that you are completely unfamiliar with at this point in the season.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty much preparing similar how we prepare about any game we're going to play. Because even though we already played those teams 15,000 times in one season, every game is different. Right, every game we're gonna have different roster. You're gonna have different momentum of the season, home advantage, and all that stuff. Kansas City, I am fortunate I was coaching St. Louis for 4 years, so I think between these 4 years we probably played about 20 times. Because that was. Back in St. Louis, that was our rivals. We had to win the season, we have to win the series, which I think the past couple of years, we did. I could be wrong, except for the playoffs in there. But it was a young, team. We were just trying to go to playoffs that first year. Not that we didn't want to win, but we were trying to get this maturity to continue to build playoff years after years and after years. So I know a lot of their players. I know a lot of their style. I know how they play. I'm trying to share that with the players at every practice, every moment. So sometimes it could be annoying that I interrupt the session and say, listen, in this particular moment, they do this, they do that. And, we are having video sessions. Players are watching their games, are watching their players. And even though it is difficult for us to play against Kansas City because we haven't played, it's going to be difficult and a half for Kansas City to play against us because they haven't played against us, but it's playing in our home field. So, for that, I think our players are a little bit more, I can't say calm about it, but between calm and more confident that, you're going to step up to the field and you're going to be familiar with what's going on around, the atmosphere around, because we play in our home field. And that's, like a big portion of soccer game. It's psychological, and have that factor in for us, it's huge.
Yeah, I know that was something that I know we were talking about at the game is how nice it would be to be playing on our blue turf versus their blue turf. I mean,
sure.
as we've talked about already, I mean, the crowd plays a huge factor into this. So, having the crowd behind you to have that extra push, that extra, like you said, that extra block, that extra shot. I mean, that it makes a difference. And so, yeah, it's huge for us to have this at home. We were, even though we knew we had the play-in game, no matter, basically no matter what, after the Baltimore game, I know a lot of us were like, we need to play this at home because it makes a lot of difference. So we're very glad it came out the way it did.
No. All right, Brandon, do you have anything else you want to ask? If not, we can let Coach here go get to his food and enjoy his dinner.
I guess the only other thing I just really want to know is, my brain just blanked. I am sorry. We kind of already talked about that, actually. I was going to say, what were some takeaways from the first season, but we've already kind of touched on stuff like that. We've already kind of touched on the, I think, I think I'm good. So I'll just say thank you for coming on. I really sincerely appreciate it. And hopefully I didn't bug you too much this week.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. I'm sorry for my slow response sometimes. I'm like I said, I'm extremely happy here. It's the franchise itself, like I said, from the owner to the workers to the players and everybody. I couldn't ask to have, more professional and nicer people around us. It's been a great experience. The young players that came in, they are giving a huge challenge to the older players, the veterans, which is great. Of course, after we start winning the games, my head's been spinning. What line up? And that's a great problem to have in a hand.
Yep.
The veterans leading the players really well, teaching them, talking to them, but it's perfect. That's great as well. I think the experience overall this first year, it's great. After the season, hopefully once we won the championship, we can sit down, evaluate what was good, what was not so good, and make it better for next year because, I didn't come here for 1 year. I came here to create a culture. I came here to create a legacy. I came here to create an identity. That's my goal. That's my ultimate goal. I know changes like that don't come in 1 year. Everything that we've been doing in the first year is great. It matured very, very quick. Happened faster than what we were expecting to happen. but absolutely that's credit for the players. They stepped up. I know that people sometimes on the social media don't give credit on saying, don't factor in Utica, but I'm telling you, don't sleep on these guys. You guys are picking other teams. That's fine. We can be underdog. We don't mind at all. We love it. But don't sleep on us, because I know these guys are hungry. They want more than just qualify to playoffs. They want to win it all. So
yeah,
don't sleep on us.
That's a pretty good message to send.
Absolutely. Great.
Thank you for coming on. It's been great talking to you. Have a good 4 days of practice. Good luck on Monday. We'll be there making it loud.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to see you guys, and we will be playing extremely hard to bring the championship here. That's for sure.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
You guys have a great night. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks. You as well. We really appreciate you being on.
Thank you.
Once again, we'd like to thank Coach Hewerton Moreira for taking the time to talk with us and wish him the best of luck Monday against Kansas City. I'm also cutting in here just to apologize for any audio issues through that or the second half, which is our regularly scheduled podcast. My computer started to reboot for an update an hour and a half before we were supposed to record, and then it didn't finish until almost an hour into it. So everything you hear from me is a little off just because I was using my phone, and I'm kind of sick if my voice isn't a giveaway. But anyway, back to your regularly scheduled Keeper's Corner podcast.
And we will start, as always, with a stat that tells the story. This one coming from Utica's 4-3 comeback win over the Baltimore Blast. Brandon, I'm going to put you on spot. You can take the first stat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've got one. I've got one. All right. I know I had the last week, but I have it again. You know why? Because we doubled them.
I didn't see that coming. I don't know how I didn't.
How didn't you? When we have 29 dogs to their 13 dogs. What other? I mean, come on. We literally outshot them double. And most of those, we had almost as many shots on. Dogs. Huber would get mad at me if I didn't do that. We had more shots on goal in the third, almost equal to the amount that they had the entire game. We had 12 in the third quarter. Or 12 shots, excuse me. They may not have been shots on goal, but they were at least they were shots on goal. Yeah. So we had 12 in the third quarter alone, and they had 13 total the entire game. I mean, come on. What other stat am I going to pick?
Yeah, that tells you one team definitely peppered the goal, and the other one had difficulty getting off any offense.
We came out in the third hungry.
Yeah, really the only way the third quarter could have started better was if we scored in 6 seconds instead of 7.
Yeah. I will not get over the fact that it was literally just a quick chip, boom, done, in. All right, let's go.
Well, for my stat that tells the story, it's the 3 goals that we allowed Baltimore to score, because that wraps up the season and concludes the stat that I had thrown out on social media last week after we did our episode.
Mm-hmm.
When Toby and or Steph misses a game, the team gives up on average 8 goals. When those two are in there, they average 4.1 over 10 games. Completely different team with those guys, and they showed it once again against the Baltimore Blast.
Keeping them to 3. Yep. You are right. And when you're right, you're right.
Like, I don't know. I know a certain someone had given up and left the building at halftime, but as I was just leaving work as the second half started, nothing in me told me that game was over. I'm like, yeah, Baltimore might score one more, but I didn't see them scoring any more than that.
And they scored nothing. You get nothing, sir. Good day.
Pardon me.
How dare you?
Uh-huh. Now we got to go to a play that changed the game. I think we know what one you're going to take.
I already told you this. I told you this in 72.
Yeah.
Immediately following the game, because I said there is, in my mind, no other play that changed the game. It was quite literally the 7-second goal that started the second half. Steph to Taylor Walter Bond, which I'll be honest, initially and from the camera angles, I didn't even know that TWB got a piece of that. I thought it was all Steph. But then seeing it on the goals of the week and seeing just that slight redirect header that he got. I mean, otherwise it was just going to get caught by Zierhofer and it wasn't going anywhere. It was just going to be a quick chip and it was going to be back in Baltimore possession. But with that one little bitty redirect, just started a landslide.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to pick against that. And honestly, I don't want to, but I will. And I'm going to say the shootout save by Andrew.
Yes.
We'd fought back. We'd finally taken the lead. And then 47 seconds later, a blue card that, depending on who you ask, may or may not have been a blue card. I guess depending on who calls it. Because did you watch the under review this past week?
No, I didn't actually. No, wait, did I? I think it's been a few days. Okay, so I feel like I did because I always watch. Yeah, because it had Philly instead of Phil, because Phil was at WrestleMania, which Philly also ended up being at WrestleMania. But either way.
All right. They discussed the call that took place down in Florida, where WrestleMania was happening on the turf, and I believe it was Florida's Kyle Williams had Bo in a wrestling grip where, his arm was up underneath his shoulder, came up underneath Bo's arm, had him on the shoulder, pulled him to the ground, and Sigich basically said, well, Bo's a big guy. He's not going to get taken down easy. And even if it was a real takedown, I'm not sure he had a clear look on goal.
Yeah.
And then you watch Steph just kind of swim move around on this. And the guy goes down, and they give the blue card in the shootout. I was like, which one is it, guys? Because they both looked pretty sus.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Using the kid term. Oh, it's just real sus.
It's because the imposter is the officials.
Well, I mean, it also wasn't the same officials, so we at least see that's the thing is in the Florida game, we had Sigich, which has been at least more dependable than some others. I still just don't like that the head of officials is officiating games. Like, I feel his job should be more just the review and correction and teaching and training. I get that, but at the same time, I mean, But yeah, with the limited size of the league, I understand it. I exactly. Like so, no, I mean, yes. Going back to what you had said, that why that was your play that changed the game. I mean, yeah, that was definitely. It was ties it right there, 47 seconds after we take the lead. The life gets sucked out of that place. Yes. in fact, I mean, we had, I think that play or that penalty kill was what was like, wow, we really have a chance here. Because, I mean, that penalty kill was scary. I mean, any penalty kill in the fourth is nerve wracking. So that one in particular was just, it was scary, plain and simple. Even the one in the third was scary. The one that Segura got, we had just gotten up to even. We had just gotten 3-3, and then we ended up getting a blue card, and we held him on that one too. We held him on two different penalty kills, and we even got to see Wilkin for a while.
Yeah, I don't know what Andrew said to get the yellow card, but
I could probably guess, considering how the game had been going and the calls that had been made. Now, yeah. I'm not going to say that we always expect things to go our way, because we don't. In fact, there's been plenty of times where you, me, Dave, a lot of us have just said, no, that's definitely a call, that we deserve that 100%. It's blatant. But man,
speaking of calls, I've never seen someone go from 0 to 0 faster than Jake Schindler did on that play in the box, where he may or may not have gotten grazed by a foot on a bicycle kick.
Mm-hmm.
And that's coming from someone who was sitting, not me personally, but from a person we've both talked to, who was sitting on the sideline by the Utica bench and had a clear shot of it. I don't know. If he got hit, it was by the slimmest margin.
Yeah, I know. We were all saying, and of course from the camera angle, we were all saying, like, that was all ball. How can you say that there's anything other than that? And of course, it had to be Jake. It had to be Jake. Like, man, why does it got to be Jake? Which, again, I did not expect to see him on the turf. Really only expected to see him in the playoffs. But hey,
you got to have a word with your source that said he was an emergency situation only.
But hey, you know what? It was good to see him on the turf. And, we got to talk to him for a couple of minutes, and he was just really glad to be playing again. So, glad to see him on the turf, glad to see he's doing well. And hopefully we can potentially either see him in blue next season, which probably not, considering the deal between Baltimore and Rochester Lancers. But, yeah, definitely, like I said, it was good to see him, and just great game overall.
Couple bad challenges, I'd say, by both coaches.
I remember. You remember the one that we did?
It was in the third quarter. It was right as I showed up.
Yep.
Finally made it from work. Did not know see what the call was, but everyone was booing, so of course I'm over there. Two blind refs.
Yeah, literally the first thing that this man says when he sits down is starts singing about two blind refs.
I had to make my presence felt.
Part of me, honestly, and I mean, I guess we could have asked Coach this, but part of me felt like that flag was just kind of, or that challenge was more to just break up the play, break up what was going on in the field, and less so about the actual challenge. I mean, that was just my personal opinion. But yeah, neither team, I mean, challenges have been pretty, not lackluster, but
I think they've only been overturned at like 35-36%.
Yeah, it's definitely not something that we're seeing a lot of this season, we're not seeing a lot of successful ones, is what I mean to say.
Yeah. There's a moment later in the game where it would have been nice to have it on the breakaway where Mello threw his elbow back and caught, who was it? He caught in the face. Correa, I think.
I want to say so, but I would have to go back and watch the footage again.
He thinks it was Isak. But and then I thought, Steph was about to get thrown out because he stepped in and knocked Melo over. But I'm glad the referees understood he was just there breaking things up really quick.
Oh, yeah. When Steph just came in and body checked him.
But yeah, that's what happens when unstoppable force meets movable object.
Yes. Also, that was Correa. That in that tussle was Correa 100%.
Yeah. A couple big plays there, a couple things that could have gone either way. And then we turn to what's got to change. Because obviously in the playoffs, the easiest thing to say is you can't come out and fail that much in the first half. You can't get shut out at home in the first half. There were points in the first half, don't get me wrong, where Utica, especially early, completely dominated.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If they scored a goal in the first 5 minutes, this game could be very, very different. But the failure to convert that we've seen plague this team at times showed up.
Yeah, it was definitely, it definitely seemed like we were having difficulty finding the back of the net. Unfortunately, some pretty bad and in some cases disastrous giveaways. I remember we had one giveaway basically right in front of our goal that, it cost us a goal right then and there. But yeah, it was definitely, there was some, I think really one of the main things is kind of going back to something we've talked about in the past. And that's, we need to get it out of our defensive third when we're going to play with it. At least get it to the neutral zone. Now I can understand bringing them back, pulling them away from, pulling them away from their goal. I can definitely understand that. But when they're high pressuring us on our side, it's a little bit harder to do that. And that's what, makes us especially nervous.
Yeah.
Like, please just get us out of our defensive third. Please. We just don't want to see it there because it turns into bad things.
Yeah. I think, just obviously don't play with it in your own third and finish. That's the best thing you can say needs to change in this game, because otherwise, when they play with the ferocity that they did in the second half, this team can't be touched, at least by any team in the East.
I mean, we've proven that. I mean, we have done very well against teams that we've struggled with in the past, over the past 2 years, even. We've beaten Baltimore a few times now. We've been able to beat the ambush. I had to think for a second. We've been able to, up until our last game, we had beaten Harrisburg every single game for the past 2 years. We still need our revenge game against Milwaukee. And, we've got this game against KC that I think we really can. I think we can pull it out. I think we've got the firepower. We've got the people. But I mean, we can't look past it. We have to be looking at this one because, looking past it's just going to be a dumb mistake.
Yeah. And before we talk about that, let's get our positive, which I think we can both agree on this one is pretty simply the stick-to-itiveness that we've talked about. That second half comeback was one for the ages.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's no bigger positive than that.
So, with everything said about that, the regular season's behind us. We'll do a big recap episode on that after the playoffs are done. There's a lot of stats there that we can compare to last year, and give us a perspective on how things have changed under the new coaching regime.
Mm-hmm.
But before we worry about the offseason, we have to worry about the playoffs.
Yes, we do.
It starts for Utica. Starts for Utica on Monday, April 10th. Now, the playoffs will be in full swing by then. Due to the weird arena availability, they actually start tonight as we record this, and by the time you're listening to it, the first game will be played. The Outlaws and Stars will have played. We'll know who's going to be playing the Sockers. The Blast and Tropics will have played both of their games. We'll know who will be in the Eastern Conference Final. And then Chihuahua will have played their first game as well against the Flash. But for Utica versus KC, here's what we know. Kansas City comes in, and they've won their last 2 games, but they didn't exactly tear it up down the stretch. No. They're 3-3 in their last 6. They are led by their midseason acquisition, Zach Reggett, who has 41 points on the season, 22 of them coming in 10 games for the Comets. He has 27 goals and 14 assists. Their second most scoring player is a defender, John Sosa, huge two-way threat out of the back.
Yep.
Not to be confused with Lucas Souza, who is right behind him with 33 points. Then their player coach, Leo Gibson, had 31. And another defender, Ray Lee, had 20 points. In goal will most likely be Nicolau Neto, who had a .492 goals allowed against average, a .738 save percentage, and the team was 10-8 in games that he started. What we can say about them, besides all that, is they were expected to compete for a championship coming into this season and have definitely underperformed.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would not have expected them to be in the play-in game.
Yeah.
I mean, at all. I would have expected that. Although I don't know who I would have taken out of the top 3 and put them in place of. I mean, I guess you could have seen us battling it out with Baltimore for the play-in spot. But definitely not. I don't know. Definitely, I would not have expected to see KC battling it out, not on their own home turf, for a playoff spot.
Which is to say, I mean, they found themselves here because they're 11-9-4, so they have a losing record. So they are +7 in goal differential. We talk about how that doesn't tell the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
Utica has -7, -13, -23. We're -21 overall, but -23 of that comes from 3 games. And it was the early blowout loss to Baltimore,
yep,
and then the blowout south of the border.
Yep.
The Comets also were not good on the road. Like we talked about the Blast and how you couldn't trust them away from CQ. You cannot trust the Comets away from Cable Dahmer Arena.
Mm-hmm.
Are 3-6-3 away, and they have the same record as Utica does if they're at home at 8-3-1. But on the road, they're just a very different team.
Yeah, I mean, we've noticed that with a lot of teams this season. I mean, a lot of teams just have not been traveling well. I mean, we look at teams like Baltimore. I don't have their exact record in front of me, but I know, they had problems in Harrisburg. They had problems in Utica after their first couple of times with us. So, I mean, we've definitely seen where teams have just struggled on the road. Actually, I did find it. So, I mean, I think we almost, we almost have the same record away as the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
I mean, we are 5-7-0 and Milwaukee is 5-6-1. So, I mean, away. So, I mean, we have a a fairly decent record, one of the best records for away this season in our division. Whereas, yeah, you look at the rest of them. I mean, Kansas City is 6-3. Baltimore is the same. Florida is 4-5-3. They have the second best record in the East for away games. I mean, it's been a tough season to play away. It really has been really difficult for a lot of teams to not be playing on their home turf.
Yeah, I mean, that really says it the best is that home field advantage is going to be huge.
Yep, which is, I mean, we talked about that with Coach. I mean, home field advantage, I'd rather be playing on our blue turf than their blue turf.
Not to look past KC, but because of the weird arena availability, whoever wins this game actually ends up with home field against the number 1 seed with Milwaukee. Game 1 will be played in Milwaukee of the next round.
Yep.
So Milwaukee will be looking to close that out either in Kansas City or in Utica. And if they're looking to close it out in Utica, it's a heck of a place to play.
Unfortunately, we have been closed out on our home turf because our very first season, we had the away game first. We won it. We came back. We lost at home. We lost in the mini game, and that was to Baltimore.
Yeah.
So you can't just, obviously we're not discounting, if we do end up making it there, definitely cannot discount the other team just because we have a favorable, we could potentially have a favorable scheduling for games.
Yeah, I'm not saying that at all, but just if it comes into play, that can be huge in this league, especially in this league.
I know you weren't. I was just making it clear for everyone else that's listening that, hey, just because we're saying this does not mean it's going to be a walk in the park, because as we've said, as you heard Hewerton say, I mean, no game is a walk in the park here. No game is a gimme. I think you said that.
I guess the only other thing we need to talk about really here is the difference in special teams, where maybe Utica can take advantage, because Kansas City has converted 17 out of 50 power plays for a .340 percentage, which is second worst in the East, third worst overall in the MASL. And they've killed at a .586 clip, which is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But Utica is better than them on both cases. We have converted 19 out of 42 for a .452, and we have killed at a clip of 639. So blue cards, as they are in many games, can be a huge balance shifter in this one.
Yep.
And 58 blue cards. Utica conceded 36. Kansas City had more blue cards called against them than any other team in the league, and it wasn't close. The next closest is Mesquite at 48.
Okay.
They had a full 20% more blue cards called against them than any other team. But the 50 that they took is tied for the best in the league with Mesquite. Maybe it just comes down to the officials in that central area of the country being a little more blue card friendly. I don't know.
Blue.
I guess that just leaves our favorite part of the episode, predictions. All right, Monday, 6:05, blue turf in Utica. Will the Adirondack Bank Center have the roof blown off because Utica wins? Or will it be kind of like how things ended against Baltimore in 2019, and the roof might come off from fans ready to fight the teams on the field?
That's right. Oh, man, I forgot about that part. I mean,
I can't, because I did something inappropriate, and Caitlin followed it up with an even more inappropriate thing that made my father very uncomfortable. I will not say it in this podcast.
No. So, personally, for me, I'm feeling semi good about this game compared to if we were playing against Baltimore. I've always felt that we were a 50-50 chance with Baltimore every single time we went in, at least in the past season and even towards the end of this season. I always felt it was a 50-50 chance we were going to take the win. But for this one with Kansas City, because we've been on such an upswing, I really feel, fairly confident that we're going to come out of this with a win. Is it going to be a hard fought game? Oh, absolutely. But I think we can pull out a win. And if I had to give you a score, I'm actually going to go with a 5-3 for Utica, obviously.
I do like Utica's chances here. One of the reasons, obviously, being you're at home. Kansas City's not that good on the road. Another is, unlike going up against a Frank Tayu or a Nick Pereira or even an Ian Bennett, Reggett might be their points leader, but he is more susceptible to being limited in what he can do. Yes. Which isn't to take away from how great of a player he is. He's had 40 points, I think, in every season that he's played, except 2021, the short 7-game season. Mm-hmm. He had that 5-goal performance in his revenge game against the Tropics. But looking at Comets on the road here, since he was traded, 1 assist, no goals, no assists. 1 goal, no assist. No goal, 3 assists, but the Comets still lost that game. And then this last game, he had 4 points, 2 goals, 2 assists, but those 2 goals came in the fourth quarter when Harrisburg was running 6 attacker the entire time. But if you limit Reggett, it's not to say that this team doesn't have weapons, but you take away their biggest threat just by limiting him.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge blow to them if he can't execute.
And, part of the reason the team went and got him was because obviously he wasn't happy being traded to Harrisburg, but they were also struggling in the first half.
Yes.
Had a run where they weren't scoring that much.
Mm-hmm.
So you limit him, even if you just hold him to 2 points, goal and assist, 2 goals, whatever. Limit him, and I think you take this game 6-4.
Ooh, okay. Also going by 2.
I'm going by 2, and I think the deciding goal will come because anyone that's watched Kansas City at all knows that you can get under Neto's skin. The whole goalkeeper rule where they have to serve their own penalties was kind of nicknamed the Neto rule because he would blow up and get a blue card and then not have to serve.
Smart. Yeah, I get it now.
If you can just rub him the wrong way, get him in the box, they're going to concede goals on their penalty kill, and you're going to convert, and that'll be the second goal difference. Plus, we've seen how those fans down along the boards in the beer garden treat players and fans.
Yeah, I can think of one that
officials
wasn't too nice to the refs either.
Did you see some of the fans down in the first row in this last game going at Trimble? Oh my God.
Yeah. I was
they were
watching.
in the front row, but like half of them was over the wall.
Yep.
Yeah, no. If you're emotionally flammable, prone to blow-ups, the fans will get under your skin more than anyone on the turf can.
We gonna get you.
And let me go back to that game from 2019 because I think Neto was in goal then, or 2020. Neto was in goal for that game. He gave up 6 goals and only had 5 saves.
Okay.
Which was one of those, hey, Utica, stop sitting on the ball and passing it around and giving up goals against the 6th attacker.
Right.
Ones that we yelled about.
Yep, I remember.
That looks like an easy way to just really stick it to them.
Yeah, I think. And I mean, if you're gonna get under somebody's skin, I mean, home field is, I should say, Utica is going to be the place that's going to do it to you. It's definitely, we can make it harsh in there if we really want to, as seen by, last weekend, certain players.
He got called for 8 blue cards this year.
Yes. Yep.
And a yellow. So in 21 games, you got a better than 1 in 3 chance of getting him in the penalty box.
Yep. Oh, will be interesting. Will be a very interesting game to watch for sure.
It should be a very fun one.
Yep.
No matter how it ends.
We didn't talk about Coughlin. He got his 10th assist.
Oh, yeah, Katie throwing that at us. How did we forget?
He did get double-digit assists, didn't he?
He did.
Andrew Coughlin with 10 goalkeeper assists this season is it's just that's just nuts.
I can't find the MASL record for that anywhere. No. I keep asking it on the page, hey, what's the record? What's the record for goalkeeper assists? And they never answer me.
They don't know.
10 has got to be up there.
Oh yeah, I mean that is a ton of assists for a goalkeeper in a single season.
I mean, you have guys like Nelson Santana who play the entire season and score 1 goal, and then you have a goalkeeper getting 10 assists.
Yeah. I don't know. I would love to know what the stat is on that, and what the records are for a single season. I would love to know that stuff.
Oh, we have the MASL picks out.
Yes, I was going to bring that up before you went too far.
So for the first round, besides us 2 picking Utica to win, Alex Bastravansky, Philly, Big C, and Hey Yo Phil.
Hey Yo Phil.
Utica. Ed Puskarich and Eric Bergrud both picked the Comets.
Not a surprise on one of those. I mean,
yeah, Eric, you're going to pick your home team. I get it. Kind of like
I would hope so.
Hope pick Utica.
Yep.
But even if you take that as a 2-1 pick for Utica, the guys that watch the game probably more than almost anyone else are taking Utica.
Yeah. I mean, can be a good sign, but as Coach was saying, definitely not. Don't write off Utica, which it doesn't sound like people are, for at least for this game anyway.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we also can't write off Kansas City, as we've said.
All right. Well, I'm just going to throw it out there that I expect Tacoma to win tonight.
Mm-hmm.
They've been the better team down the stretch. Mesquite's been going crazy, and I hope that we have a good series between them and San Diego. We both picked Utica. So anything else you want to add?
Not at this point. Let's hope to have a good weekend. Enjoy what could, potentially be our last weekend of soccer for us anyway.
Yeah.
And Sogs. Had to get one more in.
All right, everyone, you know where to find us on social media. And I do mean they know where. We had over 2,500 interactions on our impressions on our Instagram page this past month. So it's huge. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, the TeePublic store. New episodes every Thursday, and we'll see if we can get some more guests on here as the playoffs roll along. Until next time, I'm Matt.
I'm Brandon.
Thanks for listening. Go Utica.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the Keeper's Corner podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to us so you never miss an episode. that podcast app also has reviews, be sure to leave us 5 stars to let us know how we're doing and reach a larger audience. It really helps us out. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Keeper Corners Pod. And you can always find us there talking UCFC soccer. Thanks again for the support. It's truly appreciated. One last thing. Go Utica.